When did busy become something to brag about? Every time you say, I'm so busy, you're actually saying something that's much darker about yourself. You think you're saying, I'm important, I'm needed, I matter. But what you're really saying is, I don't know how to say no. I've lost control and I'm terrified that if I slow down, people will realize I'm not actually that valuable. We've turned exhaustion into currency, burnout into a status symbol, and somehow being crazy busy became the ultimate proof that we're succeeding. And here's what nobody tells you about wearing busy as a badge of honor. If anything I'm about to say hits close to home, if your business feels heavy, chaotic, or harder than it should be, pause this video right now and go to the contact page on my website. Tell me what's actually happening, not the surface chaos, the real tension that's underneath all the busyness, because that is where the transformation starts. Let me be clear about what you're going to gain and what you might lose if you tune out and keep scrolling. Stay with me, and you'll understand why crazy busy is quietly sabotaging your growth, capping your income, and draining the exact energy you need to scale. Leave now, and you'll keep mistaking motion for momentum, exhaustion for importance, until one day you wake up and you realize you've built a business that runs you instead of the other way around. Now, look, this is not a productivity hack video. This is about alchemy, transforming raw, scattered effort into concentrated power. Sound good? So let's start with the uncomfortable truth most people won't say out loud. Busyness is a socially acceptable addiction. When you say I'm slammed, people respect you. When you say things are so intense, no one questions your value. It's the perfect drug. You get instant validation and there's no obvious hangover. But here's the cost nobody tracks. Every time you wear busyness as proof of your worth, you're training yourself and everyone around you that your value comes from depletion. And in alchemy, we know this. Energy follows attention. When your attention is fractured across 100 tasks, your power doesn't multiply. It leaks, and it leaks everywhere. Now, here's the part that really stinks. Most crazy busy isn't actually necessary. It's avoidance wearing a productivity mask. Avoidance of making the strategic decision that would simplify everything, saying no to clients who drain you, killing the offer that hasn't worked in 2 years, and facing the fear that if you simplify, you just might become irrelevant. Constant motion ends up feeling safer than conscious choice. In alchemical terms, this is called staying in the prima materia, raw, unrefined material that never transforms because it's never allowed to rest, to distill, to become something pure. You see, you're not building a business. You're just churning. So here's what most people miss. Busyness and leverage are inversely correlated. When one goes up, the other goes down. Leverage comes from things like crystal clear positioning, one clean, powerful offer, focused execution on what actually moves the needle, and energy aligned with intention. But busy people don't build leverage. What they build is throughput. And throughput without leverage is just elegant exhaustion. You don't need more hours. You don't need better time management. You need transmutation, an alchemical process of turning base effort into exponential impact. That doesn't happen in the chaos. It happens in the clarity. Now we're getting to the root. For most high performers, being busy isn't just a habit. It's an identity. If I slow down, who am I? If I simplify, am I still valuable? And if I'm not needed everywhere, do I still matter? In magical terms, this is an ego binding spell. Your sense of worth gets fused to constant output. Now, here's the brutal truth. Any identity built on depletion is eventually going to collapse. Not because you're weak, because it's unsustainable by design. And the real question isn't, how do I get less busy? The real question is, who am I when I'm not demonstrating my value through exhaustion? If you just felt that land, and land hard, if you're realizing your busyness isn't operational, it's identity level, you can't fix that with a better calendar app. That's something you work through with clarity, perspective, and someone who understands the deeper pattern. Go to the contact page on my website. Tell me what feels misaligned right now, not the symptoms, the real tension. If it makes sense, we can talk. So here's the part most people don't understand about alchemy. It is not about doing more. It's about working at the right altitude. Alchemical work looks calm from the outside, strategic, almost like quiet, but it creates disproportionate results because it's not about volume, it's about precision. If your days feel frantic, you're working at the wrong level. You're solving surface problems while the structural issue remains untouched. High level transformation always begins with subtraction, not addition. Strip away everything that doesn't serve the core transformation. What's left is power. Now let's talk about the hidden costs no one wants to look at, no one wants to admit. Busyness doesn't just drain your time, it erodes your intuition. When you're constantly reacting, you lose access to pattern recognition, strategic foresight, creative insight, and the quiet knowing that tells you what actually matters. And in business, intuition isn't woo-woo, it's pattern literacy. It's the ability to see 3 moves ahead while everyone else is still stuck in the weeds. When that goes, you start solving the wrong problems very, very efficiently. And that's when you get stuck in what I call sophisticated stagnation. That's looking successful while going absolutely nowhere. So here's the shift. What if the real badge of honor wasn't crazy busy, but clarity? What if power looked like fewer decisions, not more? Cleaner boundaries instead of looser ones? More space, not less? Higher signal and lower noise? That's not laziness. We call that mastery. Alchemy is the art of turning chaos into coherence and coherence into influence. The masters aren't the busiest people in the room. They're the calmest because they've learned to concentrate their energy instead of scattering it. If you're done proving your worth through exhaustion, if you're ready to build a business that actually supports your life instead of consuming it, go to the contact page on my website. Tell me 3 things. What's happening in your business right now, where you feel stuck, stretched, or overwhelmed, and what you wish were simpler. That message is the first act of alchemy because transformation doesn't start with doing more. It starts with seeing clearly. And the goal was never to be busy. The goal is to be powerful and to be powerful on purpose.